Listeners.
What kind of week have you had, Doc?
It's been good. It's been good. It's just the football. It's difficult for me to know that football is going on, but I don't have any interest in watching.
Is that the fault of the Black Stars?
Black
or
Stars,
just your busy schedule?
Manchester United, Rashford. There's no good news in that.
And you could say, I can feel your pain.
Thank you. Right, but it's been wonderful.
That's great.
Week so far, and today I met an absolutely great person, Na Adoli of Kaswa.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, as a loyal listener, she came in today.
Wow.
We met, and it was fantastic.
Yeah.
Very, very understanding. Last week, I had to skip clinic for once.
Okay.
They were so understanding. And that's one thing I have with a lot of my patients. Very, very, very understanding. It was a last-minute cancellation.
Okay.
But it was so understanding. And I had a really good session with Na Adoli today.
Oh.
So I know she's doing that listening. So now this is for you.
Yeah.
Na in Kaswa. I know you're doing that listening.
You should bring her to the studio sometime.
I should invite one of them.
Not only your consulting room. This is another consulting room,
I should come along with all the loose loyal listeners. She's like, hey, 5 years straight. I've been listening.
Yeah. Oh, wow. That's nice.
Right.
Regards going out to you now. We're happy you're tuned in.
Correct.
Well, Doc, the year just started in earnest, and a lot of our people are making plans for the year. Would you believe that some of our listeners want to be making babies this year?
Good plan.
Good plan?
You disagree?
Well, I just want to remind them about the budgets for the nation as a whole.
Budget,
the exchange rate and school fees.
Kwame, I know somebody who has told me this during the naming ceremony of one of the boys. I was like, oh, congratulations, but just know that you have a prison sentence of 25 years. I was like, why? Also, for the next 25 years.
For the next 25 years.
That's the prison sentence. When the baby comes.
Yeah.
Well,
some people want to sentence themselves.
Okay. We are happy to help them.
Yes.
Enjoy their sentence.
Like you've always advised us, even before you decide to make babies, there's a lot that you need to consider health-wise. But let me share the letter with you so that you can tell us what your thoughts are. Well, hello, Lexis. Happy New Year to you and your team. As part of our major couple goals for this year, my husband and I are planning to start trying for a baby. Nobody seems to understand my agitation about getting pregnant. In fact, I'm actually planning to see a psychologist, but I also think it will be great to hear what the drive doctor has to say. I really love the idea about starting a family, but the whole idea about getting pregnant and going through with it scares me.
Wow.
Why? I know a number of young people who have had babies who have special needs. In fact, my cousin is 28 years, had a special needs baby. My cousin's life has never been the same ever again. I'm 34, my husband is 37. Are we really within a safe bracket? Are there things I can do to prevent this? This may sound conceited, but I worry about it a lot. I've kept my diet and my weight in check. I've seen a couple of women go out of shape and even depressed. It seems I may have to eat a lot during pregnancy, and the whole idea of not being able to control my diet and weight scares me. Is there anything I can do by way of nutrition and diet so I do not become depressed with weight gain? And my final concern also is the fact that my mother is both hypertensive and diabetic. Wow. I read about pregnancy-induced diabetes and hypertension. Could I be prone to it because of my family history? I will appreciate some answers. So that's what our friend thinks.
Wonderful. And Kwame, I'd like to say congratulations to this couple. It's a rarity. The first line, is something that we never see. That a couple, a man and a woman, plan to have a baby. Oh, no, it doesn't usually happen like that. It's usually the woman wants to have the baby.
I see. The men are just the willing participants.
Unwilling. They are dragged along, kicking and screaming. Right. So the reality, Kwame, is that most of the time it is an expectation at a certain stage in life that a baby will come along. And that's what happens for most people, especially those in that age bracket where they are working, they have their own source of income. They can take care of another human being. I mean, we're not talking about the maybe 17-year-olds or 16-year-old, but in a certain age bracket and at a certain stage in life, it's almost an expectation. People will ask, I'm a baby, I will do it's an expectation. So people take it for granted, and then the pregnancy happens, and then things just flow. But unfortunately, I can tell you that it can come along with it some very difficult situations regarding the health, not only of the mother, but of the unborn or the newborn as well. So, Kwame, unfortunately, if you look at some of our health statistics in this country, we are lagging behind. So when we take the maternal mortality rate in this country, it's too high. It's too high. I think as of 2020, it was 262 women per 1,000 per 100,000 live births.
Wow.
That's a huge number. You compare it to, say, another African country, a country like Morocco, for example, they are 72.
Wow.
South Africa, 82. So these are African countries.
Yeah.
All right. I'm not going to mention the UK and places like that, because people will say, "Oh, as for we know that they are advanced countries and all of those things," but they are so very, very low numbers. So if you look at ours, of course, we are also better than, but the number is just too high. Again, if you look at things like under 5 mortality rate in Ghana, then again the numbers that we are doing is too high. So what is under 5 mortality? We are looking at children who don't go past their 5th birthday. Yes. And we've realized that if you look at both maternal mortality rate and you look at under 5 mortality, children who are dying before their 5th birthday, then a lot of the interventions, we can reduce these numbers if we are able to tackle a certain aspect of healthcare right. And that part of healthcare is what we call preconception care.
Okay.
So these are all those interventions that we put in place: medical, behavioral, and social health interventions, not only for the woman, but for the couple who intend to bring a child into this world. So that is what preconception care is about. We're looking at all those interventions that are provided: medical, behavioral, and social health interventions for the couple who intend to have a baby. Preconception care is the best bet of a woman enjoying what we call safe motherhood and giving birth to a healthy newborn, and for that newborn living a long, healthy life. So that's the overarching goal, is to make sure that we achieve safe motherhood and that we have a healthy newborn, and that newborn lives a healthy, long life.
Okay.
So, Kwame, preconception care. So before.
Right.
Conception is the pregnancy. So before the pregnancy comes in, we want to have a certain conversation. So the idea would come that I want to have a baby. Wonderful. That's step 1. That one, Dr. Osafo and his people don't determine that step 1. You listening to me right now, you determine that step 1. I want to have that baby. Then
in fact, before you go on,
right.
I think that step 1 is very important, because like you rightly said, and that's one of the things that people need to be one of the conversations people need to be having, because a lot of the time it is, hey, I missed my period.
Exactly.
Hey, Abba.
Abba.
You know? or something like that.
Kwame, you are absolutely right.
But hardly do people sit down to say, okay, I think it's time.
Exactly.
Let's do it really for, making it not
because we are ready.
Because we're ready and all of that.
But Kwame, it happens. You're absolutely right. But why does it happen that way? It is because I think we're not aware of, one, the benefits, and two, the dangers of achieving a pregnancy at any point in time. I think most people are not aware of the possibilities. So today, that's what we're going to do with this conversation. And Kwame, we're going to do a 3-part series. So we'll do things slowly so that everybody gets a very good understanding. So Kwame, let's go into the issues. What do we discuss during the preconception care? When you decide that, in my opinion, my layman's opinion, I want to have a baby, or we want to have a baby, then you come in. Issue number 1, we're going to look at nutritional conditions. It's one of the first things we talk about during the preconception care. We talk about nutritional health or nutritional issues. I mean, you always hear them, or we keep saying this, you are eating for two, eating for two, eating for two. Well, it is very true. That newborn is going to grow inside of the woman. It is connected through the placenta to the woman's blood system, and blood flows from the mother to the neonate, to the fetus, and the fetus grows by deriving or drawing nutrients. So if the woman doesn't have enough nutrients, what does the child depend on? This baby or fetus doesn't have much to depend on. The fetus has to attain a certain weight gain by the end of the pregnancy. We have a way of actually checking the weight gain month by month, week by week. The first trimester weight gain, second trimester, third trimester weight gain. So it is very, very important. So Kwame, let me talk to you about one defect, that congenital defect that can actually lead to a miscarriage or the baby being born with a very serious defect called spina bifida. There's a gap in the back, and you can actually see the spinal cord protruding through the back in a mass. And it's all because of a very important vitamin called folic acid. So folic acid fortification in some countries for women in the reproductive age group. When we say women in the reproductive age group, I mean, we mean every woman who can possibly become pregnant. Meaning from that adolescent who started menstruating all the way to maybe mid-40s. You potentially can get pregnant. So in some countries, they fortify food like bread and a lot of their cereals with folic acid.
Oh, I see.
Because the spinal cord and all of that forms by the 6th week. Most women don't know until the 2nd month that they are pregnant. They miss their period and then they think, oh, okay, I'm going to wait and check it. Most of the time they come to us, 8th week, 9th week, we don't get a lot of women in the first trimester, first 12 weeks. They don't even come to the hospital. So when they come to the hospital at that time and we're giving them the folic acid, if there was going to be any harm, it's happened already. 6th week is when that spinal cord issues will come up. So the spinal bifida situation can happen before then. Iron deficiency anemia is also a very big problem that we have on our hands in this country. Iron deficiency. Most of it is nutritional. Some of it too is because of the menstrual cycle problems that some women have. They bleed very heavily. So they are consistently low levels of their HB before they even get pregnant. And that has very, very bad or serious implications on growth. Iron is very, very important for brain development, of the newborn. For example, Kwame, class 1 teacher shares 1 plus box equals 3, find box. Teacher you should go and look for your mother. Probably she was low in iron when she was carrying you. So the brain lagged a little bit. So Kwame, we have a nutritional conversation. And the reason why we don't want to have the nutritional conversation alone with the woman is that we know that in Ghana, more often than not, it is the men who control the pockets. So the economic power is with men. That's why we want to have this conversation with the couple and not with the woman. You tell the woman should eat well. The thing too that she's going to use to eat well too is in Kwame's pocket. So we want the men to be part of the conversation. Get to know that you have to start paying closer attention to the nutritional health of or status of your partner. Make sure that she's eating right. Most women easily sacrifice their nutritional requirements for the rest of their family. So we would strongly encourage them. Some people, it's not because they cannot afford. It is simply because they are not making the right nutritional choices. It's not because they are not economically empowered. I mean, these days, I see a lot of women are working, they generate their own money, so they can afford. But some people just have very poor eating habits and choices.
Okay.
So we'll have that conversation with them and talk about nutrition for the woman and nutrition for the fetus. The second thing we want to talk about during the preconception care is mental health. Kwame, it's very sad. And last year I had three women who were at my clinic and I was treating them for postpartum depression. How can you have a baby? A baby that people, well, Kwame, you've heard about baby stealing syndicates. People are stealing other people's babies. People are paying thousands of dollars for artificial insemination and IVF treatments and all of that. People are spending months in prayer camps. Yes, actual mountains or whatever it is, just to have babies. Then someone has a baby and they are so sad. All they have experienced is misery. They have developed something we call postpartum depression. It's a very, very, very sad situation, that something that ordinarily gives a lot of people, fills a lot of people with joy. Kwame, I will never forget that first day. I heard Kwesi cry when he was dragged out of the womb. It was a cesarean session. And, came out, first time father. That experience, the way I felt, words can't describe that particular feeling of joy and elation and all of that. Then for some other people too, the cry of the baby that night, the following night and all, that just fills them with dread and sadness. So there's something we call postpartum depression. There's something we call postpartum psychosis. They just lose it mentally. So there are certain risk factors, that are predisposing factors. Pregnancy can be a very, very stressful situation. And therefore, you need to have your support structures in place. The first support structure is the man. Again, the reason why this is a couple conversation, not that the woman should come and see us in the hospital for preconception care. No, these are interventions we are putting in place for the couple. So if the man is not at home to provide the support for the woman during the pregnancy, she's still having to go and carry out all the household chores. Oh, nakwami sonimu kakra. See, sonimu kakra. The pregnancy is very stressful. She's vomiting, she's throwing up, she's not eating well. During the latter stages, she can't bend over. The abdomen is so huge, so she can't bend over. So we help her with some of the chores. Make the burden a bit lighter. Their back hurts. Would you be there to rub their back for them, give them that massage that they need? So the psychological care is very, very important. Come I'll tell you something. So it's only my Augusta who knows this thing. The day she told me that, I don't know, I was scared.
Really?
Yes.
That, you mean the first time?
The first time. It was like, I didn't think I could do a good job. Hey, I'm going to be a father. That burden of responsibility that's coming. Because I looked at my father, who is sitting here and saying the job he'd done. And I just felt that being a father is such a Herculean task. Can I do it? So I panicked. For the first 3 weeks or so, I wasn't, things weren't okay with me.
Wow.
And I know a lot of men. That's why some men outside of the marriage setting, a lot of men deny their pregnancies, not because of it, they're just scared. They're just scared. So we need to prep both the man and the woman, the couple, for what is going to happen. The burden of responsibility of pregnancy. So the mental health conversation is one of the most interesting and one of the most important conversations that we have in the preconception period. Okay. We'll ask you, is your mother-in-law available, or are your in-laws available? Anybody to support you, to help you during the pregnancy, late stages? Who are you going to live with? We live alone. Hey, now you live alone. How are you going to survive? Even workplace, do you work in a workplace where they are progressive? My workplace, they have a mother care unit over there. All these things will help mitigate the kind of stress that you might go through in the early stages of being a mother or being a couple. That nighttime cry. I don't know why babies they like cry at night. If they will get sick too, you can ask Adam.
Only at night.
Only at night. The emergencies happen at night. I don't know why. So you're not going to be able to have that full sleep again. All those things can affect your mental health if you're not really prepared for it. The next important conversation we have, and here I'll put you on the spot. Genetic conditions. Kwame, a lot of these congenital anomalies or special needs children, I'm sure we all know about the expression right now. A child with special needs. So, for example, if you're going to have a baby with Down syndrome, and some of these conditions now we can diagnose them before.
Okay.
So, if you get to know, will you go ahead with the pregnancy, or you would want for it to be terminated? Those are questions that we will have to put to you, that there are some genetic conditions that may happen. And this particular lady who sent in this message, she mentioned her age group, that they're couple, they are between 34 and 37, I think.
Yeah.
Yes, they are in that risk group for Down syndrome. Starts from around 35 years.
Oh, really?
The risk is higher.
Okay.
We're not saying everybody will get it. No, the risk we see is higher. So if you make a prenatal diagnosis of that, what will you do? Will you go ahead and have a special needs child? Not every person can handle being a parent to a special needs child. A very common condition is sickle cell.
Yeah.
Sickle cell disease in Ghana, it's a genetic problem. So if you carry an AS, carry the trait, you have a partner who is also AS, and then there's a possibility, high possibility, 50% plus, that your baby would be SS. So if you get to know, what will you do? What are those decisions? So again, we have these conversations with a couple and prepare them. Because some of them are thinking, I don't suffer from sickle cell, I'm AS. My husband too doesn't suffer from sickle cell, you're AS. But both of you are carriers of the gene. And it is very possible. I've seen marriages break up because of this, where the man is accused. And it's always the men who accuse the woman of, as we say it in our street language, going away. Having sex with another man and bringing the pregnancy home, because they are thinking, I don't suffer from sickle cell, so how come I have a child with you and the child has sickle cell? So we counsel the couple about the possibilities of genetic conditions.
Okay. We are almost running out of time.
Right.
But I know there are so many other issues that we need to tackle with regards to this conversation. So we'll have a part 2 next week.
We're going to do a part 2 next week.
Yes.
We'll go into details about the remaining issues.
Yeah.
And then we will. There are other issues about the whole preconception that we'll bring up.
Okay. Well, this is a very important conversation. Ishmael sends a message and says that, Lexis, I agree with Doc. The first time my wife told me she was pregnant, I cried like a baby.
Wow.
But today, the girl be shocked. Okay. And Douglas says, Lexis, this topic brings tears to my face. My wife is at admission right now for termination because there's a lot of water around the baby. Very painful. And he was asking when should the folic acid be taken, 2 months, weeks before pregnancy or during pregnancy. I wish this topic will last for a month, please, Douglas. Okay, Douglas, no, don't worry. We'll have a part 2 next week.
Part 2 next week, definitely, and we'll continue the conversation next week.
Yes, but if you have any questions in the meantime, or you probably need to speak to the doctor about preconception care or about conception itself, please reach out to doctor.
They can reach out to us on 0501 477 340. Our WhatsApp number is 0501 477 340, and somebody in the team would speak to you.
Dr. Yaw Osafo is the CEO of Medicas Hospital, and we've been talking about preconception care. If you missed any part of the conversation, the video is live on our Facebook. You can actually go play back and listen to all the good stuff that we shared. But there's a part 2 next week.